Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alexandra Cranford getting you a quick update on what's happening with Lee. Lee, as of Wednesday afternoon, is now a hurricane, very much as expected as this was a tropical storm. And we knew that it was going to be strengthening probably pretty quickly to a hurricane in the next day or so. Looking at what Lee is doing right now, we are looking at it in the Atlantic Ocean, of course, and it's moving off to the west-northwest. It has just attained those winds officially from the National Hurricane Center of 75 miles per hour, making it a Category 1 storm. But there are some gusts indicated near 90 miles per hour. And you can see the structure all day has been looking a little bit more and more organized and healthier with these banding features right around the center here. A couple of things with this forecast path we've been showing you. It's expected to go out to the west-northwest and will probably stay north of these Caribbean islands. This takes us all the way into the weekend time frame when it may already be maybe not even a Category 3, but possibly a Category 4. And then into Sunday and Monday, notice this could be its general placement of the center of the system to the north of the Caribbean, north of, say, Puerto Rico, and outside of the Bahamas as well. A couple of things that have changed with this track. It has been shifted a little farther north, so staying even farther of the Caribbean than the past couple of tracks potentially. And then also it has slowed down a little bit, and we saw that with some of the upper features, the steering currents with our models lately, that it may lose some of its steering in the weekend time frame and eventually kind of slow down, but that would be before its curve to the north. So these are our tropical models in very good consensus with where this storm may end up in the next week or so. Here is the steering that we're thinking with our pattern here. You can see the big ridge directing it to the west-northwest and then eventually sort of falling out and not as strong. So that may be the time where it really slows down before it picks back up, possibly curving around that ridge. And then this model is not showing it as clearly, but there will also be a trough of low pressure in this particular run. It's a little farther north, but that could also sweep it off to the north and potentially northeast. So at this point, the thinking is it will be slowing down somewhere around here, eventually getting a nudge to the north. Models have been pretty consistent, keeping the center pretty well east of the U.S. East Coast. But of course, the East Coast will be watching this really closely just to determine whether there might be any sort of outside impacts. Likely will be some swells and things of that nature along the east coast of the U.S. But again, a little bit of the long-term forecast here that you need to watch if you are along the East Coast. This takes us all the way to September 15th with this particular model. Just showing you the European model, for example, bringing this storm. This is by the weekend. You can see its potential placement. Again, it will be tapping into really warm waters and it will be losing some of the wind shear that it has right now. So that's why we're thinking it's going to be able to possibly even do that process called rapid intensification, where it just jumps up in intensity very quickly. Now, again, this model showing that slowing down feature. And again, this would be by next Friday, potentially in this area off of the east coast of the U.S. So something to watch for some Caribbean islands potentially in the next couple days, and then the east coast into the latter part of next week. But for the Gulf of Mexico, for Louisiana, Mississippi, New Orleans, we're not seeing this as something that's going to come near us or get into the Gulf of Mexico. We've made it through the name Lee. Of course, we'll be talking a lot about Lee in the next week or, 2 weeks possibly. Not because it's coming to New Orleans, of course, but just because it'll be out there. The next names are Margot and Nigel and then Ophelia. And there are a couple of other spots out there. For example, that one wave off the coast of Africa. This one has a medium chance of developing, so that one might get that next name Margot, and then another little spot, not very worrisome, slight chance of developing, but probably won't, way out here in the northern part of the Atlantic. Just to remind you, we have officially, as of today, Wednesday, 4 days until the average or usual peak of hurricane season. That's not set in stone, but just typically September 10th, the peak day. Looking at the season so far quickly, we've had 12 named storms, 4 hurricanes and 2 major hurricanes. The average at this point in the season would be 7 named storms. Of those, 3 hurricanes and 1 major hurricane. And last year at this time, we were well below that at only 5 named storms and 2 hurricanes by this point in September. That's a quick look at what's happening with Hurricane Lee. We'll get you many more updates, of course, as we continue to track it in the next several days. We'll have more on the Eyewitness News at 5 and 6 and at 10 p.m. and more online. Take care.